We'll kind of slowly get started. I want to thank everybody for coming on this evening. Please let me know if you want different videos or things. Basically, I kind of pulled out some of the some slides from an older presentation I did because I know we've got Henry going for his level 1, and I know it's kind of new for all of us is to really talk about the movement analysis portion of exams and what is your examiner or what is your examiners going to be asking you, the kinds of questions. So I thought I'd kind of touch upon again kind of the vocabulary that we want to use, as well as and Marc can help me out a little bit more. During the MA portion of the exam, at level 1, we're looking for, I believe it is 2 fundamentals mentioned. Is that correct, Marc? And then I think level 2, we're talking, I believe, relationship of 4 fundamentals. And then as we go into the level 3, we are talking about the relationship of all 6 fundamentals mentioned in all phases of the turn, or ATML. So
I'm looking it up.
okay, yeah, I always forget because it's new for us as well, and we're coming up to speed and kind of hitting the same hot buttons. But that rings true in my brain. I should have pulled it up, but I was too busy making dinner. So I'm gonna quickly just start my PowerPoint, share my screen, and I will go from there. All right. Is everybody able to see the PowerPoint screen? Let me get to the beginning of it. And then I'll just why do they do that? Move this down slightly. Or move you down slightly. There we go. Okay.
Are you okay for me to recite what I found, or do you want?
Please do. Yeah, later? Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. The MA for level 1 is that you observe and describe one or more of the technical fundamentals in all the phases of the turn. One or more.
One or more.
Level 2 is going to be, I think, Shelly says 2 or more. We just looked at this earlier in the year. 2 or more, yes.
Copy.
He's smart. And then
she is.
Level 3 doesn't matter so much for those. Well, it matters, but it's that's unfair to say that. It's not current for someone, but it's all of them.
Yeah.
So you can talk about all the stuff. Okay, thanks. That's all.
Yeah. And so I kind of want to start kind of getting in that mindset of practicing, maybe even asking some questions as an examiner. Both we got Marc on as well as myself, who are trying to come up to speed, and then we can kind of pose those same questions we might ask of you as we're playing with that. So I'll quickly move through a few parts of this slide and get to the video. Of course, I am a big proponent of the turn descriptors, giving the people who we are watching an activity that's within the realm, and giving them what we'd like: a forward, carved, open, basic, large radius turn. That way we have a whole, like, this is what we're looking at. This is the real thing we want to see. And we want to see that you are seeing fundamentals come out and you're actually giving me the real version of what's in front of you versus what is in your mind the perfect picture of that type of turn. So let me just go ahead and move the slides to the next stuff. We'll pick this person right here. Some things to think about when you're looking at the tool itself. and things is, is it actually skidded or carved? What clues lead you to be able to see that? Tool snow interaction is a big one. And kind of moving up into what joints are creating these movements, and then also what you see are efficient or inefficient. So I'll play this video for everyone. And this person had been given a large radius basic carved turn. We'll be able to watch him go slow-mo as well.
Recording in progress.
I like to do fast speed and slow speed because I'm pretty slow. But a bunch. So first of all, I want to ask everybody, pose a question to the group. Is this kind of the ideal image of a large radius basic carved turn on a set of skis?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. So I'm in agreement as well. So we've got this person being successful. So let's break down the phases of the turn. Describe to me, if you can't remember the fundamentals, that's okay. We can kind of go into that in more detail. But describe to me one fundamental or one of the old performance concepts that you see happening in the let's say the shaping phase of the turn, the control phase.
I see the skier having his skis on the edges.
Nice. So he's controlling his relationship of his center of mass from ski to ski. Is that correct, Marc?
I guess I'd ask as follow-up is, does it look like the skis are on similar edge angles? Or or is there a difference? One way to look at that is, do the skis stay parallel?
In the shaping phase.
In the shaping phase. Good, thank you, that's true. So right about there.
Yeah.
About there. Maybe there, I don't know. That's like a big turn, so it was a little quick.
They're not consistently angled. At the beginning of the turn, the skis are flatter, but they become more on edges in the finishing or shaping phase of the turn.
Yeah, you may have asked, I didn't ask properly. In the middle of the turn, in the shaping, are the skis on similar angles compared to each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they maintain a parallel relationship in the shaping phase of the turn?
Yeah.
I'm seeing them divergent from each other during the shaping phase. The tips are kind of pointing away from each other.
I see that briefly at the beginning of the turn.
Starts about there.
Right there.
Yeah.
And
But by
stays
here,
that way till the very end. So the reason, one of the reasons that these could be unparallel is that they may be on different angles and taking a different path. One idea, doesn't mean it is.
It looks like
it's easier to see that on that last turn there towards the very end of it. That it holds at slightly different angles throughout the turn.
Yep.
It's harder to see there and there, but this last turn here, you can see his right knee is kicked out.
which to me says he's got uneven pressure more so on his inside ski, not controlling his outside ski, which is causing it to drift out and not be parallel.
So now Tim, you're moving into one of a different fundamental
Yeah.
that you start seeing is the relationship of tool snow interaction. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, so during the shaping phase, in your thought processes, you see perhaps a difference of pressure between the two skis at the shaping phase.
Yes.
I like that. Okay, so we were able to talk about two fundamentals that we saw during the shaping phase. Is there another one we could talk about during that same exact phase?
The flex and extension of the legs is like the knees are both kind of equally bent, showing that balance of pressure as opposed to kind of really digging in on that outside edge.
So that would be more pressure ski to ski.
Yes.
Is there another one? I should pull up the
Yeah. Well, there's 3 pressure ones. The shorthand version is front to back, side to side, and just generally overall.
and we have the same thing in the snowboard world: nose to tail, toe to heel, and between tool snow interaction.
Yeah. So maybe my hint would be front to back. What do you see as far as?
It's a hard angle.
And maybe if we talk about
There, he's
shaping,
back.
if it stays in shaping phase, then we have a different answer than if we talked about maybe transition between turns.
There's not a lot of forward ankle flex.
What direction does the body move when the knees and hips open up?
His butt drops backwards, and his spine is still pretty straight.
What position, what happens to the body? Look at look at the flexing and unflexing of the knees and the hips. Where does the body go?
Straight up and down.
Back? Does it go up or does it go forward?
Up.
If the upper body goes forward,
Really?
He
I'm
stands
seeing
straight
it go
up.
up.
Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to lift 2 suitcases at the same time and go, yeah.
That's a great analogy, Mark. I like that one.
And so then if somebody moves up, what's often the result as far as where pressure is on the ski from the front to the back or tip to tail when that happens?
It is from the center back.
Yeah. So Henry, you said his butt drops back,
Yeah.
right? When he's really flexed and bent?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, good observation. A thought then would be, well, okay, if my butt's behind my heels, do I have other body parts in front of my toes to balance it out?
Yeah. His chest is above his boots.
Yeah. Might have been saluting.
So I'm curious with, when we move into more being more dynamic, or we more talk about either flexing or extending through certain parts of the turn. If we were to pick once again, stay with the shaping phase, are they kind of flexing through the shaping phase, or are they more extending through that shaping phase of the turn?
Yes.
I know the angle makes it hard to see, but there's across the fall line. And then here's more of the shaping phase.
I think that the flexing only comes at the finishing phase, so the shaping is still at the extension of when he's extending.
Yeah, I agree with Hannah. There might be the beginning of a flax in shaping, but it's not full flax until it gets into the finishing phase.
So we started talking about, we've got 3 different fundamentals we talked about during the controller shaping phase of the turn. We talked about some body movements that we saw. We saw some extension, we saw some flexion, we saw some moving towards the nose of the ski or the tip of the ski. We also started talking about timing as well, of when, you know, real versus ideal, and for this type of turn, what we'd like to see. Next, if this is not as ideal as we'd like, do we have maybe a prescription for change to help this individual be more in the efficient or ideal realm? Is there some sort of activity you could do with this person?
I'd send them to Marc and Shelly and let them work with it.
Sorry, Marc and Shelly's not available, Tim. It's all you.
Think about what was discussed as far as timing, direction of movement, and movement from ski to ski. So what do you want this individual to do? Then what are some ideas of any activities, or even do you have a stationary thing that they can put into a movement thing? So if somebody is moving up and you want them to move forward, what is something they can sensate? What is something that you can get them to do? If they're moving too far to the inside, how can we have them, what can we have them do? Do you have an idea, Tim?
I do. I would, you know, the thing that just screams at me is the pressure foot to foot being too great on the inside ski. So I'd have them try some outside turns just on one ski and show them how to get that weight more on the outside ski through that exercise.
Okay.
That's great. That's awesome. You gave a nice, simple movement you could take outside of this terrain and then maybe bring it back into this terrain later, that you have to maybe help make this more of an ideal situation for the candidate. Cool.
Any ideas what you would do with this person? Not putting you on the spot or anything.
I love you, Shelly.
I would start with a stationary exercise to have the person stand against the pitch of the hill and practice the pressure to pressure of the outside ski and the inside ski to colorate with the edges. And then I think that I would try to do some J turns with him to try to have him extend and flex earlier in the initiation or shaping turn, and then finish it going back up the hill, so the extension and flexing would be more visible. That would be my suggestions.
A quick thought about the difference between level 1 and level 2 as for the exam experience.
Yeah.
Is in level 1, and Henry, it might only be 2 of you this year, sounds like. I saw 1 person registered, that's you. I think Greg is the other. I don't know if there'll be 1 or 2 others. But that makes it easier to be able to do this kind of stuff more than once during the day. And the way that it has been structured and hasn't changed is that you get an activity, you get a movement fundamental that you use for your teaching approach. So what I mean by teaching approach is, if your fundamental that you draw randomly is pressure from ski to ski, that's the avenue you take to direct your teaching.
Okay.
Dealing with pressure from ski to ski. You then choose a phase of the turn that you want to observe and the actual ski behavior that you want to observe. So you get to pick one of the skill things like edge control, rotational control, pressure control, and when. So Tracy's example of the middle of the turn, the shaping phase or the control, that's all you're asked to really observe is in that part of the turn related to the thing that you picked. What do you see going on?
Okay.
And then how is the person moving to make that happen? And is there a basic prescription like Tim gave, Hannah gave, of something that you'd have them either focus on, do an activity, or go through a progression to make a change and do it the way that you'd rather see it?
Okay.
Level 2.
And this is what's super cool as well, is you're going to see changes in the exam format going into next season, because we are working really hard to have all the disciplines be aligned, because our process is slightly different this year than yours, as well as other regions to come on with the same exact criteria for, scoring exams or the things that you do in exams. So that always brings home, there's no other snowboarders on tonight, or I would be making sure to let them know that ours is slightly different. But it's kind of fun to hear how I like that approach. Marc, I really do, is giving them the fundamental, giving them a phase of the turn and having them work on a concept or edging, rotary pressure, what have you. That's pretty neat.
In a way, I think it's actually, with a smaller group, it's okay. When you get 6, 7, or 8 people, it can get confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's pretty much, there's 4 variables. The activity you're going to teach, fundamental that you'll use for your approach to teaching, a skill, and a phase. You get assigned the first 2, you pick the second 2, and then you put it all together during 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's weird. Our process in the Northwest is different than any other region. No one else does a 1-day in-house level 1. Anyway.
What do they do?
2 days.
2
Sometimes
days for
3.
level 1.
Yeah. The last I heard, the consensus was it's in big debate right now, is at level 1 to even have a 3-day exam.
Wow.
Yeah. Hope I'm trying to work on it to be 2. A quick summary of level 2, and then I'll be quiet.
Yeah, please.
Is at level 2, like Tim, Hannah, we've gone through some of it, is you're going to randomly get one of those topics and a population, and you're going to share how you teach that. So the parameters, like Tracy just said, the descriptors, those are sort of built into the activity. You have some leeway to share if it's a short turn, how big. If it's a medium turn, how big, in a rhythm change or something like that, or size and shape of turns, whatever. You're going to then share how you teach this theoretically to students, and then watch people do what you share. So it's a little bit more real, because you're going to see people doing what you shared with them, like you're teaching. And then, as described, there's 2 or more describing what's happening.
No, I was just talking about activities, like when Marc was just describing, say there was 2 or more fundamentals. If you did an activity where somebody had to step, where they did 1,000 steps or 500 steps from ski to ski, directing pressure to the outside ski, or making sure that they moved along the fore-aft length of the ski, or that they had flexion and extension associated with that, then you can combine activity and awareness of the pressure control or pressure fundamentals,
Mhm.
or you could use it for edging.
Yeah. And it's super fun. I'm really embracing and enjoying this new format and how we're kind of moving into stuff. So we're just going to continue with the next set of skiers. And I want to kind of maybe now that we have like a vocabulary of what you might be expected to ask, I'm just gonna ask somebody, anybody here can do it, about this next skier, and we'll do MA, and I will ask questions about phase of the turn. What are you seeing during that phase of the turn? What fundamentals specifically? And have you go into that, and then at the end, give me prescription for change. So we'll pick this skier right here. This skier was given the activity of a smaller radius, dynamic, skidded type turn. So I guess first, like, look at things. Is this the ideal image, the perfect image of what you'd expect to see? Is there some things that we could do with this skier to move them more into the ideal range? And then I will ask a question about a phase of the turn, and I'll have someone take it away. So I'll let you watch it a few more times.
It's not ideal. It looks too much like me.
I'm trying to see if their poles are too long or not.
So this is 2 bowl at Meadows, and
I was gonna say,
I
that's-
ski this garbage, so I understand what this guy's going through.
I was gonna say, that's some pretty bumpy,
Yeah, that looks chunky.
chunky, bumpy snow.
It wasn't the most ideal of conditions. All right, so I'm gonna say who would like to volunteer themselves to be more of the candidate?
Sure.
The person. Okay, Henry.
Oh, go ahead and take it, Tim.
Oh, Tim. Okay, Tim would. Okay, cool. Either way. So Tim.
I'm gonna pick the low hanging fruit first, so the easy stuff.
Okay.
Well,
let me give you a phase of the turn.
Okay.
I would like you to tell me about the finishing phase of their turn.
Finishing phase. Just the turn in general, I'm seeing more of a Z-shaped turn, and that's probably terrain dictated. And so in that finishing phase, they're really fast through it. Like we talked about being dynamic. And again, I think that's the terrain that's dictating how they're negotiating that turn.
Is there a specific fundamental you could speak to at the finishing phase of the turn?
I'm thinking I'm gonna pick rotation.
Okay.
And their rotation, I'm looking at the legs and how they're closing. They look like they're doing a good job of closing their ankles, their knees, their hips to bring those skis around and rotate those skis around in the finishing phases of the turns they're making.
I'm observing that in the finishing phase, he seems to be leaning backwards, so he's sitting a lot in his boots backwards instead of propelling forward. So he's behind starting the next turn.
So Hannah, yours is pressure along the length of the ski?
That's correct, Tracy.
Okay, cool. Henry, do you want to pick a fundamental and at the finishing phase of the turn and see what you can come up with? Maybe a similar or different fundamental than what Tim and Hannah has spoken to?
Sure. It looks like at the finish of some of the turns, it's inconsistent, but he's pulled his shoulders all the way across the hill. And that is like right there, he ends up using his shoulders to then start the next turn. His rotation timing is off.
Okay, so you're gonna use the same thing that Tim used as rotation.
Yeah.
But you found maybe something that's inefficient.
Yes.
It's a powerful move, right? But it's an inefficient one.
Yes.
Cool. I like that. So then what I'll go back to Hana real quick. So I'm a big proponent of talking about, parts of the body and what they're doing. So you're noticing that this skier is on the tails of their ski. What specifically, and I like to use ankles, knees, and hips, are they doing to cause him to be on the tails of his skis?
His pelvis is leaning all the way back. So he's relaxed. And well, it starts with the boot or the ankles. So
Okay.
I don't see there's enough pressure for his ankles flexing to move
Cool.
it then to the knees and up.
So you'd like to see a more of a
flex.
closed ankle.
That's correct. And forward pressure in the cuffs of the boots as well to make him move his upper body and center of mass forward.
Cool.
And
now
then
let's move up. Go ahead, sorry.
No, then I would then relate it to Henry. And then with that, the upper body can follow the lower body facing more down the full line and driving the skis in the rotation phase.
So you spoke of ankle. Tell me about the knee joint. If we're wanting to move this.
The knee joints, they need to be really engaged, and in conditions that he's skiing, which we describe are pretty rough, I think you need to be flexible. You need to be somewhat relaxed, but you need to be ready to observe the forces that are upon you more than you would be on a groomed terrain. So you have to be faster into reacting what your skis and the terrain is making your body move all over.
And then we'll move up one more set of joints, the hips and the femurs and the hip sockets. If you wanted this person to move their weight to be less in the back of the ski and more in the front, what would you describe the hips doing inside, or the femurs doing inside the hip sockets? What's the pelvis doing or moving to?
The pelvis, I would have the skier try to move and face the pelvis down the full line versus being parallel to the following the turn. So being more proactive and facing the full line. And if the pelvis and the hips are facing down, then the upper body will move with it.
So like more extension towards the tips of the skis or down the fall line?
Yes.
Okay.
More extension up and forward towards the tips of the skis as well. Extending. Wonderful. And forward movement.
I always love to talk about ankles, knees, and hips together because literally they all have a part to play in everything. I'm sorry, who did I accidentally cut off?
I was gonna say, of the three joints, ankles, knees, and hips, they don't flex or extend the same range because they're different types of joints with different bones and the rest. One of the key words is proportional to each other, proportionally. So of those three, which one is flexed the most?
Knees.
What do you think, Hana?
I think it's the ankles.
Which ones are
Flexed
flexed
the
the most?
not the least. That's the next question. So the ankles are most flexed in that finish phase?
Or in anything?
Or so Tracy, you have a stop where there's a
yes.
vertical shin.
Let me get him closer into. Slow motion takes forever.
Yeah, one of the upper ones where it's
Not what I wanted. Let's go back.
Whoa.
Is that all right?
The path of thought here is, all right, generally there's 3 joints, like Tracy said, ankles, knees, hips. Spine comes in, but it's complementary. So a little.
Trying to get a good spot where we can see without a lot of snow spray. Darn it. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
I understand. Done it before. Good. Right. Okay. Stop.
Go back a little bit.
No, stop.
Okay.
No, stop stopping it. Don't do anything.
Dude.
We're looking right there. We only see 2/3 of the body,
Mhm.
but from the knee to the ski boots is pretty much vertical. Then the knees are flexed, and then the hips are flexed.
The hips are the most flexed,
And the ankles are,
the least.
yeah. When that happens, and like you shared about having someone, flex more, feel cuff pressure, etc., whatever the right cues are, to be able to do that, you end up moving your center forward to flex your ankle. That allows that to happen. So like you shared, yeah, so I was just going in, like Tracy said about the 3 joints, looking at the skier, are the joints being flexed and extended proportional to each other? Or is one doing it a lot more than the rest? Or a lot less?
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Right.
What's really cool is this is very similar to a movement pattern that we see in the snowboarding world of specifically on well, both toe side and heel side, but most easily seen on the heel side turn is a person having a very static or 90-degree front ankle, a very, moderately bent knee joint, and then an excessively flexed hip joint because they're using their center of mass inefficiently versus if they would be able to get more extended on that hip joint to be more balanced over the center of the board, or in this case, center or tips of the skis. So I love seeing the similarities in the disciplines and how the bodies kind of do the same things. So, okay.
Question about ages. Is there
yeah.
Is there an age group between seniors, teenagers, adults, and children that might demonstrate that generally because of them?
Anatomical development.
Yes. Oh, that's not leading, is it? Is that something that we often see in one of those populations, regardless of how good they are?
Mark, would you restate the question?
Yeah, sure. The way Tracy mentioned, open front ankle and maybe excessively flexed hip joint. Is there one of the 4 populations, level 2 world, or any, but that often show that, regardless of their skill level?
I think it would be more of a senior population and the kids.
I was gonna go with children because that straight leg, open ankle, heavy flex at the hip, bent over, power wedge type thing.
I do.
The reason I bring it up is related to the level 2 teaching is you may get a population, and kids is one of them. Those are stereotypes and generalizations. They usually happen, but doesn't mean they always do. That's all.
So, Tim, you went with both you and Henry, I should say, went with rotation. Henry, you spoke to a gross movement of the shoulders to bring those skis around. Tim, I think your focus was a little bit more of a lower body, femurs in the hip sockets, if I'm correct. So I'll start with Tim real quick because you did it first. Do you have a prescription for change that you could focus in with this skier to then help improve the rotational turning that needs to be more of an ideal than the reel that we're seeing.
So I would take them off of this ungroomed slope, and I would have them do. I mean, just start real simple. Let's do medium turns to small turns, and assess their skill at making those turns on easier conditions first.
Cool. So just taking them into different terrain.
Get them
And
out of
focusing-
the ungroomed, ski on the snow, not in the snow. And let's give them some easy snow to rotate on.
Is there like an Alpine task or an activity or a monkey trick that we like to do in the ski side of things? And by the way, we have the exact same one on the snowboard side that really focuses on the rotational aspect of the femurs and the hip socket. Is there a drill that you might be able to do too?
One of my all-time favorites, the pivot slip.
Ba-da-bum. Yes. It's so fun. In the snowboarding realm, because our feet are kind of tied to the tool, they can't move in or out or do other movements. We tend to also encompass a little bit of spine into our pivot slip. I know it's more of a femur and the hip socket focus on the Alpine side, if I'm correct, but it's the same thing. Finding ways to rotate the tool, perpendicular to our center of mass as we're going down. And yeah, I like that. Cool. Henry, if you were to think about your prescription for change with this wonderful skier, by the way, I love the fact that several of you picked something very positive to start out with what you saw. You saw like, man, this is really crappy terrain. He's actually handling it pretty good. I mean, I'd be all over the place. But Henry, do you have something that you might want to work with this individual on?
Why, yes, I was thinking that we might do this drill called a pivot slip.
Oh, okay.
Focusing on keeping the chest and shoulders down the fall line, because that would also give an opportunity to kind of analyze body position, and maybe work on kill two birds with one stone there.
Cool. I like that. Sweet. So we went through, we talked about fundamental, we talked about two different fundamentals here. So we're at the level 2 realm. We've talked about body part specific movements or joint specific movements that we see making this happen, and then a prescription for change, and perhaps like Marc had thrown in there, a population to talk about. We might ask you to focus in on a more children specific or more senior realm. So
a quick adder is that level 2, level 3 for sure, but level 2 is that these 5 movement fundamentals that are described don't happen independently.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a bigger contribution, like when you're making a recipe, you add different amounts of different ingredients.
Or sometimes you take all that ingredient like almost completely out.
Yeah. Exactly, different amount. And so then how can one start to affect the other? I'll ask the question and then wait, is that if a person is in this kind of position where their ankles are open, their center of mass is behind their heels, how does the person then end up turning the skis or tipping the skis because of that? How do they move to make those skis turn, even though we've just talked about center of mass fore aft, where there's pressure directed, say, from the heel to the tail of the ski? How does that affect their ability to tip and turn? Or what do they do to make the skis tip and turn as a result of being in that position?
Yeah, a big one is if we kind of go into that realm is how does one fundamental affect another fundamental in this activity we're doing. So
And at level 2, that starts to come in
Mhm.
because it's talking about 2 or more. And then being aware of interrelationships is important. That's all.
yeah, that's perfect. How about we move to another set of videos and see
Okay.
let's see one again possibly. Why do I have that one 3 times? 4 times. I should have updated those slides with new videos with different people. Let me go ahead and pull up some other slides of things that I have. That way we can get a different picture of people. I'm going to pick some nice springy, summery day on Mount Hood. Let's see if I have any prepared with the fast and slow. If not, we'll just have to wing it with. Oh, this no, that one might be. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this guy. Let me get back to sharing it for some reason. There we go. There we go. No, that one's still all fast speed. Let me find another one. How about... If I can't find one in a quick minute, I'll just pick one.
You can adjust play speed in the media player.
I know. I just like to do it easily.
Got it. Okay.
But let's watch this guy. This kid right here. Okay, let me share that. There we go. Looking for that one. All right. Are you able to see the screen okay? Nice and decently sized? All right. So let's pick let's see here. Let's pick just a phase of the turn. I would like someone to describe to me something they see while focusing at or in the edge change zone where we change our edges. I'd like to maybe think about it being talk about fundamentals, talk about body and movements, and kind of break it down that way. Tell me who wants to be the person to speak first?
I love the outfit.
Hannah, you want it?
No, I love the outfit. Awesome.
Oh, the outfit. I know. This kid was fun.
Yeah.
Henry, we'll have you take the lead. So describe
Sure.
to me what you're seeing at the edge change zone.
So I see a Z-shaped turn, and I see a lot of spray coming kind of evenly off of both skis, where the pressure is distributed pretty evenly between the two of them.
Is there a specific fundamental you'd like to focus on at the edge change zone?
I think I would like to focus on flex and extensions, the magnitude of pressure from ski to ski.
Okay.
And I think if I were to address this with a drill, I would start with garlands.
Okay.
Good one.
Would you describe to me how this person is managing pressure using body part specific words on how they're managing to direct the pressure between ski and ski?
Their lower body is pretty static. There's not a lot of movement below the hips. It's the shoulders and the upper body kind of moving them around. That neon is attention getting though.
I love it.
There was one little fun one that specifically I looked at, and I'll try and pause it at the spot next time.
Okay.
But right. Ah,
Oh, the lift.
yeah, but you're focusing on pressure ski to ski, right? Not
Yes.
that. Okay. I wanted to make sure. Sometimes I focus it on something, but I got to be careful. That's not something I need to let you, as the candidate, describe to me what you see and go into detail with that. I don't want to ask leading questions or point you into another fundamental. So back to the same question is, what body part specific things are affecting the pressure? Let's use joints. We'll talk about that a little bit. What do you see happening with the ankle, knee, and hip joint to affect the pressure from ski to ski?
There's not a lot of ankle flex. So the knees appear to be taking most of it, and the chest will come forward right there as they swap and then stand right back up. The spine is staying really straight. But as far as ski to ski pressure, again, what I'm seeing is just a really static lower body.
How are they unweighting the ski?
Well, the inside ski is lifting just a little bit, but then that's what I'm seeing.
Cool. Awesome. And your focus on prescription for change. I like how you went right into that prescription for change. You talked about, okay, I would work with, what was it again? Garlands?
Oh, garlands.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Body part specific, what fundamental you wish to speak to, and prescription for change. Marc, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure, but I'll try to keep it short. Is most instructors in my life go right to a prescription. The question I could ask is, why that prescription? What are you trying to have happen differently? And how does what you're sharing accomplish that?
So
hold on.
Almost
done.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. The prescription doesn't have to be a novel. It can be a focus. Try doing more of this or less of that. It can be a single activity like you shared of garlands, or it can be a full-blown 4-step, 5-step progression. Any of them work, depends on the student. So that's all. Thanks.
Okay.
It's fun. I love this stuff. Just exercising the MA brain, to me, it's very intoxicating. Tim, I'm gonna voluntold you I would like you to pick a different fundamental. And I'd like you to stay at that same phase of the turn, the edge change zone. Is there one that maybe you would like to address?
Yeah, I'd like to, I'm gonna choose edging. Because I see a lot of skidding in those turns. And at the transition phase of the turn, I think if this skier exhibited more flexion up and down, more magnitude of pressure on the ski, get that ski tipped in harder, they'd have cleaner, nicer shaped C turns, and better control, less skidding.
Okay. So you spoke to two of them right there. The first one was edge angle. What body movements or what parts of the body do you see that are creating these edge angles in the ski?
So I'd want to see more closing of the ankles, knees, and hips going into the turn. So positioning themselves, we're talking about transition, having their body at the right point in transition so they can close their joints going into the shaping phase of the turn to achieve a higher edge angle or greater tipping of their ski.
Cool. And then you also spoke with pressure on the ski. Once again, would you mind speaking to what joints specifically, and what they would be doing to either release the pressure or increase the pressure in where you'd like it?
So yeah, I want more pressure on that outside ski. So I'd close the inside ankle and knee more than the outside to focus that pressure on the outside ski to be able to tip it more and make a nicer shape turn.
Can I ask a question? How does this skier go from one set of edges to the other? How do they move their body parts and make the skis go from left edges to right edges?
They're pretty static in their range of motion. What I don't see them doing is going up and down. So and their turns are skidded, so their skis are more flat through the whole turn than they are than someone who is more on edge.
Okay,
I don't see a lot of separation between the upper body and lower body. So
all right, let me back it up. Sorry to interrupt you. Let's focus in and simplify. The skier is changing from the inside edges to the outside edges, the left edges to the right edges, whatever you want to call it. There is an edge change process that's happening. How is this skier making the skis go from flat to 1 degree or whatever it is, even though it's not a lot? There is a change happening. What is this skier doing to make that happen? In English, in ski talk, whatever you think, jargon.
Yeah, I think they're moving their full body to get the torque to rotate that ski and to switch from edge to edge.
If you look at their legs, if you look at their ankles, you look at their knees, you look at their hips, when they're in the shaping phase, in the middle of the shaping phase of the turn, is there any leg length difference? Can
I
you
would say
see
slight.
any difference?
I'm seeing, yes, a slight shortening of the inside ski by flexing the ankle and knee.
Inside leg, be careful, ski don't flex.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're doing M&A, Mark, so
I know, and we went on two different topics there, Shelly and I.
Sorry.
No, and that's fine because they are interrelated. And what you shared is as simple as what you said is they're tipping their whole body to change edges. And as Henry shared, there's a lifting. This turn here, the left ski, well, it's more abbreviated, it's more evident up above, comes off the snow. So the edge changes accomplished by lifting the ski up and tipping the leg. But it gets started because the skier tips their whole body to the inside to get the edges to change. Here comes the lift.
It's like almost a hop too.
Yeah. And that, not on that side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better here.
Ski,
A little bit. Ski stays more on the snow. But what the question being that I was trying to ask was just, how does the skier make the skis go from this edge to that edge? As simply as you're able to state. And it's so easy to start regurgitating all the words and all the fundamentally concepts and all the things. It's just, we change edge angles when we incline or angulate.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? We tip stuff. Do we tip pieces or do we tip the whole body?
So how would you say that, Mark? Use your words to describe it concisely.
At the beginning of, so this first turn especially, the skier inclines to the inside, the whole body. The outside ski changes first, and then the inside ski is inclined with the leg tipping, but at the same time, the first turn was lifted off the snow to do that.
Got it.
And so that's where and Tracy, I'm sorry to jump in with all the pieces.
No, please, I love this.
This can be a simple activity. I used to be scared to death of doing this because I never knew what I felt I never knew what I was talking about, and I never knew what I was supposed to be saying. Instead of thinking of it as in the simplest terms of, we tip the skis, we turn the skis, and we have the snow push on the skis and they bend. How do we have that happen? Well, we move forward this way so that there's pressure front to back on the ski. We move from one to the other. We tip stuff. We turn our legs separately from our upper body, and we manage all the different forces by flexing, bending, moving, tipping, turning. And so when you're asked for just a simple or one of those actions, edge change, how is it happening? Just focus on that. Easy to say, harder to do. But instead of, well, I'm seeing the skis are flat and the upper body is tipped to the inside, so they're really rotating from a really static lower upper body combination, hips, neon green suit. Oh my God, the boots are blue. Instead of, I see the skis changing edges because the skier did X, Y, or Z. And so
Yeah,
in the end,
if I use all my ski words, that one of them will be right. And that's
right,
kind
but then you're going to prompt a bunch of questions of what about all that extraneous stuff? And then you end up digging into a giant hole. Not you, anybody.
No, I agree.
Start
At least the
simple.
boots match the helmet.
Yeah. So just some inputs and thoughts. It's easy to sit back and listen and go, oh my God, that's terrible. Let me do this. Rah, rah, rah. Shame on me. But if it's something like Tracy shared of in this phase, in this piece, with that person, we're going to call, if it's a girl, we're going to call her Angela. What is Angela doing to make the skis change edges? Specifically, what is she moving and doing from one turn to the next to get the skis to change from one set of edges to the other? These are rhetorical for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea, is if you can hone in on just that piece, that's all that's being asked.
Yeah. This is people need to spend more time flexing this muscle that we have, the brain, the analyzing and spitting out words. Like, this comes with time and doing it over and over again. And I still feel like I'm always behind the 8 ball when doing movement analysis and trying to describe it. And I always continually work on, being more concise and more simple. How about we pick somebody else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say something like, does this skier's legs turn separately from their upper body?
I just you, Mark, the other day you brought it to my attention. I think to Henry's point, the Z turns and that, you know, Angela is going from the initiating turn to the finishing turn, and there's not really the shaping of the turn. Maybe reposition the gates so there is different goal and aim for her to create different shapes and being smoother and going and making the edge turn smoother.
Yeah, because then you have a target, that you have a path chosen for you. Well,
so they seem to be really kind of close to each other, and to me it seemed that it was really hard for them to make smoother for her to make smoother turns. So reposition the gates a little bit to help her transition and make the edge changes.
There was one I would love to use, this same brush pattern that was really good that I'm trying to find for you because it had several different people involved, because I kind of want to talk about another thing that you could be asked. So give me a second so I can find it for some reason. Let's see if it's this one. Nope, check that one already. It's not that one. I can't find it quickly. We'll move on. Actually, maybe I'll pick this. This is a different one, completely different. What do you think, Mark? A little higher level?
sure.
Okay. This is an amazing triple threat Brian Beardsley over at Mount Hood Meadows. I don't know if anybody knows him. Not a long video, but let me slow it down a little bit. But let's talk about Mr. Beardsley, and he wouldn't mind me sharing this. He's a great guy. Let's specifically focus on the initiation phase of the couple of turns we can see. I'm gonna let you watch it a few more times, and I'm gonna still kind of scroll through other videos. So we have Mr. Beardsley here doing his, and we're focusing on the initiation phase. What we're seeing. How about we compare and contrast this with somebody else? You all see the new person? Okay, cool. We'll let it play a few times so you can really focus in on, we're focusing on the compare and contrast at the initiation phase. Does anybody want to jump in and talk about that portion of the turn between these two skiers?
Something that's kind of jumping out at me is that their knees are flexing a lot more than their hips. They're very stiff from the waist up.
Are there differences, if I could help lead along,
Please, yes.
in between the two? What turns first? The feet and legs or something in the upper body?
I think the feet and legs.
The comparison and contrast between the two skiers, does one do more or less of something?
The female skier is initiating her turn by lifting the inside ski in order for her to turn, versus the awesome skier is initiating the turn by driving the outside ski and having a pressure on the outside ski.
So between the feet and legs for this skier and the purple, the upper body movements only, what do you see starting to create the turning of the skis happening first?
The lifting of the inside ski.
Shoulders.
Oh, that's not it. Wrong guy. There you are. Sorry. 181.
So what I see with this skier initiating the turn, they're lengthening their outside leg to begin to rotate the ski into the turn.
So would you share that the skier is starting the turning of the skis from the feet and legs or from the upper body?
Feet and legs.
Yeah, agree. Now compare once we get back, and what you can look, actually, oh, that was a really good shot. Now,
Oh, sorry.
it's okay, stay with it. Watching the jacket versus the legs.
Yeah, you can see the arm move first and then the skis follow.
So what part of the body is the arm attached to?
The shoulder.
I'm
upper
sorry,
body.
the upper or the lower?
I'd say the upper body is what's being used to initiate the turn, for sure.
Yeah. And if we watch, I'm just going to start again. Granted, you can see an arm move up, a hand move up. It's almost like the whole torso. You see how the zipper moved up and over?
Yeah.
So this is one of the questions that I've seen, like, what's creating the turning force, which is a cool way of saying, how is this person making the skis turn? Are they turning with their feet and legs to start the changing direction of the skis? Or are they using their upper body to tip it or twist it and turn in to get the skis to start to change direction?
Yeah, a clear difference between the green jacket skier who uses their feet and legs, lower body to initiate the turn versus the blue jacket who's using their upper body to initiate the turn.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about the simplicity of the question, is just which one was first, instead of, well, I saw inclination, angulation, and magnitude of pressure with the center of mass fore after along the length of the ski, and I saw directed pressure to the outside ski, and the edge change happened instead of feet and legs or upper body is the answer. And that's what I mean. It's not a trap, but it's just trying to simplify. What do you see happening first? Now, where we can go with that is asking if there's a difference in the shape of the turn between the two. This is path of the skis. This is the equipment. This is not the skier nor their body parts. Shape of the turn, path down the hill. Is it similar? Is it different? And how would you describe them?
I'm seeing Z turns there, real sharp.
Okay. And the comparison Whether we go back to the clip or not, probably not needed yet.
Okay.
The other skier, was there a difference in the shape of their path down the hill?
Far more of a C turn than this skier.
Then we can start talking about things like how fast the skis turned. Was the top half of the turn quicker and the bottom slower? Z turn or comma shape, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we have legs turning more with this skier than the upper body. A rounder turn shape as a result. The second skier had upper body starting more of a Z-shaped turn. Can you draw a correlation between those two differences of behavior of the body that allow the skis or create the path that the skis made? That's kind of leading, but that's sort of the point of.
Yeah, to answer your question, to me, the correlation is the hips are much better equipped to shape a C turn than the upper body is in rotating the skis. And we see that between the two skiers.
I would counter that the hips are part of the upper body in skiing, alpine skiing.
The leg, the pelvis joints where the femur meets the pelvis.
Is the dividing line.
Okay, so to me, that's the place that's better equipped if you rotate there to make a C shape rather than the Z shape we're seeing with the upper body blue jacketed skier.
Got it. So here's some things around the cause effect type is that you don't have to stand up, but you can do it in your mind. Watching this skier in the purple bluish coat, red pants, when you tip and turn your upper body first, where does your weight go from which ski to which ski? So right about now, well, there's a traverse here, but when the upper body turns and tips in first, where does that take body mass? To the new
Over the inside, inside
yeah,
ski.
over the new inside ski. And perfect. Stay right there, Tracy. This is awesome. And
I know.
when that happens, and you have more weight on that inside ski, and you start to turn with your whole body, does the outside ski start to turn? Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, but yeah, that's what I
And
think.
if you have
usually
weight on the inside ski, because that upper body moved first, it's probably on the back half of that. And then, exactly, the skier goes, oh crap, I need to get this out of the way or I'm going to cross my skis. I got to pick this up and change it and move it. And you can see how the tip is off the snow, but the tail isn't. When you see that behavior, that's an indication that the center of mass or the weight's on the back part of that ski. The ankle's probably really open on the outside ski.
Mm-hmm.
Is the skier moved away from it by tipping in, so that opens and lengthens the leg? So what I'm trying to share about cause effect is, if you lead with your upper body to turn the skis, you might have a reaction like this skier did of having to pick the ski up and change its edge after the other one changed. So if you're trying to ski parallel or you'd like simultaneous edge change, that isn't occurring. Well, why? And that's kind of why I was asking before, is if you have your butt behind your feet and you don't have the body in front, you're balanced over your heels, how you then accomplish changing edges and turning the skis is things like this that might happen. So just saying someone's in the back seat, that's great. What does that make happen because they're in the back seat? Well, there's weight on the tails of the skis versus the middle or the tip. And often the inside ski is lifted up because it gets in the way. So just trying to link when you allow yourself to turn your legs, your femurs in the hip socket, that allows the skis to change direction without having weight on the inside ski, like this skier. There are reasons and things that happen that allow that other skier to do that, such as where is their center of mass fore aft at the end of the turn? Where is their center of mass and weight distribution from one ski to the other? How do they move their joints to change edges? How do they move their body parts to change edges? The green coat skier did it down low, feet, legs, changing edges without using a big gross body movement. This skier used the big gross body movement. Not gross as in icky, but gross as in large. That's where the idea of, okay, I see this. Well, why do I care? Or why should they care? And how can I describe that this skier is doing what's happening for a reason. And it's because the body's in this position that's making this happen.
So this is a really great conversation, because in an exam format, you will be doing line rotations with other candidates in the exam.
Yeah.
And you'll be asked the question of compare and contrast what you saw between skier A and skier B, as well as you'll be asked to go into more, like Marc so eloquently did, cause-effect relationships of things and how one thing affects the other.
Remember the other night or the other day when we did skating? And since most of us were there, we talked about this, so it's not forbidden territory. Is Barney, we'll pick on people who use people who aren't here.
Yep, right.
Wow.
Pick on is
Barney.
bad, because pick on can be good, saying cool. So Barney's direction of travel and how his foot came underneath him before he pushed off, he was able to glide. He had a more straight path down the hill. And then Vern, granted his knee hurt, but what occurred was a different path and a different movement. And then the comparison, like Tracy just shared, would be, well, why do you think that's happening? What is Vern doing that Barney isn't? Or what's Barney doing that Vern isn't? And the doing is Barney moved through a greater range of flexing his ankles and his knees. And when he extended, he moved forward. Vern moved more vertically and was moving side to side versus forward.
Excellent.
So simple compare contrast. Granted, that's easy for me to say because I was able to set it up and think about it and then share it, but that's maybe an example of that compare contrast. What is different? Sometimes the question is just observation only. What is different? And all you're being asked to answer is, I see this and I see that. That's all you need to share.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Guys, on that note, I'm gonna have to excuse myself from this excellent training. I'm very sorry.
No,
But-
we're just finishing up anyways. It's fine.
So, thank you, everyone. I'll be on the hill tomorrow if anybody is up there. I know Henry,
I'll
you'll
see you
be there.
tomorrow.
Have a good one, Tim.
Have a good one, guys.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being on tonight. Like I said, I want to be respectful of people's time. Don't want to go past 7, so this is working perfect. And we don't have probably enough time to go into another segment of videos. But I do want to share that I think we should all, as folks who are preparing for exams, keep working with this kind of methodology. The more you know, going through and even doing mock exams or mock movement analysis segments is something that we can do for your training. Marc and I would more than love to set situations or scenarios up, so that way you know what you're getting as you go into it. As well as, I personally endorse a longer exam process because it gives you more of a time frame to be able to, present your movement analysis muscle, to show us what you have and what you know. when we're on a time constraint of it being, you know, half of a day or whatever, you don't have enough time because we focus on one and we have to move on. But being able to like, oh wow, Hannah, man, that last segment that you looked at and analyzed there was amazing. You quickly and accurately described it. You talked about cause and effect. You gave me an awesome and easy prescription for change. So cool. You're at that 5 level. That's awesome. Amazing. Marc, do you have anything to add before I sign everybody out and we have a grand evening?
If you guys can get a few moments, send you a direct chat note, just like 2 or 3, after
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
goes away. I think I saw that Saturday. I'm guessing there wasn't any kind of registration populations for the telemark clinic. So, oh well. And that 9 to 11 was a staff clinic. Something?
Yes. Because you
We
got a
could-
half-day private after that.
Oh, I didn't see that yet. Okay, so we could do some practice stuff that morning. I know, Hannah, you asked about some teaching things.
Mhm.
This is a piece of that, of the teaching. And I think having a longer day, or Henry, if it's just you and Greg that do this year, but it takes all day, maybe you go through 2 or 3 sessions of doing this, so you get a chance to do it again. Instead of with 6 people, you get 20 minutes throughout the entire one-day process. You just get one quick shot.
So just to let you know, this will be put up on YouTube probably by the end of the day tomorrow. So share with friends who possibly weren't here. That's kind of an easy spot for everyone to access stuff. And then also, if anybody wants to, we'll be doing another MA night at Andy's at 4:45. I'm going to use some telemark video that Marc has prepared for me. So I'm super excited to have. I've never done any telemark MA, so I know I'm pretty excited to see the differences and the similarities between all 3 disciplines. So please share the love and share the word that we're going to be doing some more of these things.
Are you Tracy, thinking of next week something online again? Please.
I'm
Awesome.
thinking of it. I'm going to see if we can get Bennett in the loop to help us out with some stuff, so you get more, you know, versatility or more people. Yeah, definitely can put something on the books again. I'll get a hold and I'll reach out to folks as soon as I can. So, thank you for that, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
all 3 of you, and nice to see you, Henry.
Yeah, you too, Hannah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, have a great evening. Let's go ahead.
Who is our Marc? Are you doing level 1 exams, or is that Bennett? Or that's Bennett? Okay. All right.
Cool EO. Okay.
Have a
All
good
right
night,
then. Well,
everyone.
I will see you later. Take care, friends.
Bye.